We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable Show. Your hosts, Rick and Wayne, come to you every Tuesday morning here at WGNS. And try to focus on the north end of the county and things going on, and kind of cover everything, though, to be honestly. Yes, but Mr. Wayne, how are you?
Hot.
Guys,
we're your Hawaiian MTSU
well,
shirt on
you know,
today.
I always wear something MTSU, and this is game week, and we're playing the hated Tennessee Tech.
That's right.
You know, the OVC was so much fun back in the day when I played that, you know, we had such fierce rivalries with Tennessee Tech, Austin Peay, Western Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky was a perennial powerhouse, and I remember my freshman year when we played them at Tech, and we got up there, and I looked at all the buildings, and they looked like dormitories out of a prison scene. And but across the way, they had this sign. Gosh, it must have been 10 feet tall, and I'm not sure how long, and it said, "Welcome, MTHS." And and they had Jim Youngblood, linebacker, on their team, and he went on to play for the Los Angeles Rams, and they had their way with us that day up there. But my sophomore year, and I got to start that game, and they came to our place, and we had a sign and said, "If you can't go to college, go to Tech."
Ooh.
And that got them in, but we won that game. And but the funniest thing about the game was our cheerleaders and their cheerleaders got into a fight down in the south end zone over the totem pole that we called Harvey, and they called it Shinny Ninny, and the totem pole got broke. I guess it got fixed, but this is game week. It's just a neat
You're firing
memory.
yourself up.
Yeah.
Just
I
thinking
am.
about it.
I am. I'm so. But we're in drought conditions, unfortunately, and I think we may hit some record highs here over
all week.
next week. But football is coming on strong. You and I got to see a high school game Friday, so hopefully the state championship will come through Rutherford County again this year, and looking forward to attending a bunch of games.
I agree. Riverdale's big. They're a big team compared to Smyrna.
Yeah, they had some big boys.
Penalties, so I think, kept Smyrna at the end. You know, if they wouldn't have had so many penalties, it might have been a little better outcome for them. But hurt themselves.
But I tell you what, just enjoyed seeing high school football start back up again.
It's good to be back.
Yep. Rick, this morning we have a great friend with us, fellow Rotarian, longtime veterinarian in Smyrna. We're pleased to have this morning Miss Dr. Leanne Duffy.
Still a doctor.
We try to, at Rotary, we try to keep away from the titles, but you've always had the reputation as a superb veterinarian, and I certainly got to use you from time to time with dogs and cats, and also we've got your husband Mike with us this morning, and the lovely and talented Mike, by the way.
He's very shy. He doesn't want to
but he is very, very talented.
He is
but we're glad to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I've been out of the loop for a little bit with my veterinary career, but this is fun for me to get back and talk about what I love.
I'm sure you'll have plenty to share with us. Tell us about your early childhood and growing up.
I was lucky to have a science father. He passed away in 2023, but he was Just a big inspiration to me and my sister. My sister also is a veterinarian. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
She's a veterinary radiologist, so she had to outdo me and go 4 more years and become a radiologist. But, if she's listening, her name is Marcy, and she's in Ohio, though.
Hi, Marcy. She also goes to Honduras with you.
Yes,
too.
she does. She does for Rotary. Anyway, my dad taught high school in Florida originally, and then in West Tennessee, a little town called Milan. Go Bulldogs! We were purple and white, as Smyrna is what, purple and yellow.
Purple and gold.
Gold. But it was kind of neat coming to Smyrna because I was always a Bulldog fan in Milan, so it was just kind of, same here.
They have a rich history as well.
Yes, they do. I had a great coach, Coach John Tucker, that led us to some state champs. But anyway, I grew up loving science. My dad, I grew up in Florida until I was in high school, actually. And, he took us to the Keys. He was very big into marine biology. And so for the longest, I wanted to be a marine biologist and work with dolphins and whales. But I guess I didn't really decide to be a veterinarian. Most veterinarians know they want to be a veterinarian when they're young, like, less than 6 years old. I always knew I was going to do something with science. I love science. I excelled in science. But I didn't decide to be a veterinarian until my sister told me she was going to be a vet. And I said, that's a good idea. So in high school, actually in college, I went to Middle Tennessee. And my junior year, I'd had all the prerequisites because I knew I was going to either do doctor, pharmacy. I just knew I was going to do something in the medical field at that point. So it was easy for me to get in veterinary school because I already had all the prereqs, and I had to take the VCAT and did well on that.
I've never heard anybody say it was easy to get into.
Well, I did really well at MTSU. I was on scholarship there, and I had great advisors. I worked for a chemistry professor named Dr. Edwin Woods, and he was kind of my mentor. And I was on a work scholarship, so I got my whole tuition paid for, just working 4 hours a week at MTSU. That's why I came to MTSU over UT, because I got more money to come here.
Sure.
So I actually double majored in biology and chemistry, and then applied to veterinary school like my senior year, actually, and got in. So it was I think there was 60 classmates I had.
So where did you go to vet?
So then I got to go to University of Tennessee.
Okay.
The University of Tennessee.
That's right.
Right.
And I was there when Peyton was there. So.
Oh, how cool!
Oh my God, yeah, 90 to 94.
Okay.
So I went to all the home games for sure.
I was telling y'all before we got on air that I played at Smyrna, and Mr. Rakes took us to. I was a sophomore in '69, and got to go see Tennessee against Chattanooga 55 years ago this Saturday.
That's amazing.
And it was a blast.
It's nothing like being in Neyland Stadium.
Good place.
So went to veterinary school in '90, and a class of 60, and it was just a wonderful experience. I was a good studier. You had to be able to memorize a lot. Like we were talking earlier, how it's not just one species. I had to know dogs, cats, horses, snakes, birds, at all. But I always knew I wanted to stay in small animal. Grew up with a lot of animals with my father, and cats and dogs were always a part of our lives. So
I just can't imagine being able to figure out all those different metabolisms. How
different stomachs, different
diseases.
And a lot of diseases are pretty similar, but of course, large animals, small animals, quite a big difference. But I don't know. You just get good at learning anatomy.
Well, in the human side, you have physicians or doctors, and then you have the pharmacy professionals. I guess as a vet, you have to know both of those.
Yeah, we took pharmacology, and but it's become very specialized now too. As I said, my sister's a veterinary radiologist. There's veterinary ophthalmologists, veterinary dermatologists, so you can go further than I went. Mine was a 4-year, degree to get my doctorate. To be a specialist, you usually go 4 more years doing internships and a residency.
I'd say Rick's got some things he could share about large animals with his horses and stuff. So
Yeah.
I guess you've doctored them over the years, hadn't you, bud?
Yeah, I guess I was an old soul, so I grew up around old barns, and the guys use old techniques of, curing a cold with pine tar. It's putting in
A lot of home remedies, a lot of
and a little bit of penicillin. We use penicillin, it seemed like, for everything, and I don't know if it's even
oh yeah,
used
penicillin's
as
still very
much.
big, very big.
But
And
pine tar and some penicillin, it would about fix everything on a horse back.
And then
Years
butte.
ago.
Did you use a lot of butte?
A lot of butte. A lot of butte.
That's all I remember
Form.
from veterinary
I
school.
don't know,
No,
what is
kidding.
that?
It's like Advil for horses. It's a
anti-inflammatory.
stronger.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
But
didn't
it used to
clue.
be a pill type form, and trying to give a horse 20 pills was a pain in the butt. Now
Yeah,
it's
you
a
have to
paste.
get
that
pretty
you can
creative.
Get.
Oh,
Ivermectin,
wow.
that
Okay.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I learned all that, and I actually, in veterinary school, didn't have much exposure to large animals when I was younger, but I really loved working with horses. They were just, everything was so big. It was so much easier to hit a vein, and it was just fun sewing them up, because they, you just would numb it, and they were standing, and it was just a lot of fun. But a lot of liability in large animals, especially horses, and it's really hard to be. I always thought it was really hard to be really good veterinarian in all these different species. I really wanted to focus on being good at dogs and cats. That's just what I did. So
Back to your early days, sports?
I did. I played volleyball actually in high school, and I played a little softball when I was really young. And then I took when I moved to Tennessee, they didn't have volleyball at my high school, Milan High School. So I played tennis, and but I always loved football. My dad went to UT, my brother went to UT. Now my nephew and my niece have graduated at UT in Knoxville. So I've always been a college football fan since I was really young.
Us too.
Yeah. And I loved MTSU, but back in my day, in the late 80s, it just wasn't as fun for college students, because you weren't really tailgating and all
That's
that,
exactly
right?
yeah.
And it was college. I mean, it was a suitcase town, so everybody kind of went home on the weekend. But I had a roommate. She's passed away, but she was a MTSU cheerleader. Her name was Lisa Ross, and so I went to all the games. Plus, being in a sorority, I was in Kappa Delta. Go Kappa Delta. So we tried to go to most of the home games, even though you just went to the game and then you went. There's really not any pre-game or post-game. So.
I felt like MPD because I was at middle at the same time she was. I felt like the police were a little bit more involved as far as the house parties and everything involved.
Oh, yeah.
You go to UT and it was like, where are the police? They're not around. So it was a lot
They're
different.
smart. They're out of the
atmosphere,
way.
It was a lot smaller, so I
Yeah,
guess they didn't have as
yeah.
much ground to cover. But
Well, talk about Mike a little bit.
so Mike and I met actually at a sports bar called Shoeless Joe's, and it used to be in what was the name of the hotel? It was at the bottom of it. It's still there. Maxwell House. Anyway, we met there, and I was recently single, and he was there on his birthday, and he, we just kind of connected right from the go, and he came over finally to ask me to dance, and being the smart aleck that I am, I said, well, can you dance? And he goes, I'll give it a shot. So we've been inseparable ever since, and got married in 2002. So we celebrated our 20th.
Wow.
And we had a big we got married in Key West, and then we went back to Key West for our 20th with about 25 of our closest friends, and we just had a big time. It was awesome.
I tell you, y'all are one cute couple.
Well, he's been pretty amazing. He really helped me with Southern Veterinary Center, which we'll get to, but I don't think I could have run that practice without Mike. He was behind the scenes. He was my silent partner and really helped me with the computers and the day-to-day maintenance and, building new things that we needed. He was always there for me.
I know you want to talk about the Southern Vet. Maybe the last segment we could talk about yours and Mike's mission with with Honduras,
Yeah.
with Rotary.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about that the last segment too.
Yeah, Rotary. So my former boss and mentor, Dr. Jerry Onks, he started Southern Veterinary Center in like 1983, I believe. It used to be on Front Street, and then when I came to Smyrna, I interviewed. So I graduated in 94, and then I took several interviews across the state. I really loved Middle Tennessee because that's where I went to undergrad. And, there was this Smyrna had a, a job app. And so I met Jerry and we hit it off. And, I was actually, the first female that came to Smyrna veterinarian, as a veterinarian. And I was the first female he hired. And I always said this, after he hired me, he only hired females after that. Just saying. Whoops, I dropped that. But the thing is, most veterinary classes are made up of 80 to 85% women now, so you're going to see mostly female veterinarians my age and younger. And I think that the reason that happened was the veterinary field was not as lucrative to get in for men. And I think men decided to do more maybe human doctoring, pharmacy, things like that. And women just started, taking over the field. And in a way, it's hurt our field in that there's not as many women that want to own practices like I did. And so now you're seeing a lot of corporations have gobbled up a lot of veterinary hospitals. That's not the only reason, but women in general, and I can say this as a woman, I think a lot of women want to have a family, and it's really hard to run a practice and have a family. Sure. So now you don't see a lot of privately owned veterinary hospitals anymore, which is sad.
Who was the lady that was? I think she was in Rotary with you and was your
Dr. Stephanie Abernathy.
That's right.
Yeah.
She was a sweetheart.
She was very sweet. Very good veterinarian, and we actually bought out Jerry together in 2003, and that's when I became a member of Rotary as well. And we practiced together for 5 years, and and we'll talk about this too, is just how hard the veterinary field is for people on your mental state. There's a lot of compassion fatigue, a lot of burnout. Unfortunately, the suicide rate in the veterinary field is pretty high. And I think Dr. Abernathy kind of knew that it was really difficult for her to run a practice and be a compassionate vet, which I think you can do hand in hand, but it is a business, so you can't give everything away. As your heart wants to help every animal that walks in that door with the client, but you're running a business,
Sure.
So it was hard. We haven't talked in a long time, but we're still very friendly. But I ended up having to buy her out.
Okay.
Yeah, she had to get out, and
so
she got out of the field quite a. She's not really practicing. I think she's helped a little bit in the emergency line. She lives in East Tennessee now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you're listening to Dr. Leanne Duffy. She's a retired veterinarian in Smyrna, but we're going to take our first break and be right back with you in just a minute.
Thank you.
Support First Shot at Autumn at the Alley. It will be held at Saddle Woods Farm on Franklin Road in Murfreesboro on Wednesday, September 25th from 6 until 9 p.m. It supports First Shot STEM Academy and Academic All-Stars initiatives. The night is a fantastic event with unique tastings from various spirit brands and great wines and food from the Alley on Main. Top the night off with a fabulous silent auction. Go to firstshottn.org for more information and see you at Autumn at the Alley September 25th.
Hi, this is Trevor from Bell Jewelers. We have 4 graduate gemologists, including myself, at Bell Jewelers. That gives us the ability to appraise jewelry and give educational information. And we offer to buy customers' jewelry. We can give you a trade offer or a check. That gives us the ability to buy estate jewelry from our customers. Bell Jewelers. Like my grandfather said, nothing sparkles like a Bell Jewelers diamond. Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
All right, guys, it's Scott. If you're feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out now. At Low T Center here in Murfreesboro on Medical Center Parkway, they make it easy to get your levels checked. And with their on-site lab, you'll get those results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results. And most health insurance is accepted for treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come into the office for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. Yep, you can lose weight. Get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
I've got pests.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated, family-owned and operated. For residential and commercial customers, we offer a full range of services. Our services include one-time, monthly, and quarterly pest control, termite control, moisture and fungus control, automatic foundation vents, and more. Licensed, insured, and bonded for your protection. 893-7111.
All the best of the best to get rid of your pests.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
WGNS encourages you to patronize our local family businesses. Don't forget Hummingbird Day is over at the Wilderness Station. It's not this Saturday, but the next one, Saturday, August 31st. It starts at 7:30 that morning. That's Saturday, August 31st at Barfield Crescent Park. People have been asking about the Parkinson Support Group. They meet on the first and third Friday of each month, 10 o'clock in the morning, at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. That's the first and third Friday of each month. Tickets are going quickly for Live in the Borough. This is the great talent show that Greenhouse Ministries offers each year. And this year it's at MTSU, right there in the Student Union Ballroom. It'll be Tuesday, September the 10th, 6 o'clock in the evening at MTSU. Dinner and live entertainment. The tickets are on sale on their website, greenhousemin.org. And that's September 10th. Oh yes, Arsenic and Old Lace wraps up this weekend at the Center for the Arts in Uptown Murfreesboro. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
See sunny skies here for this afternoon with a high around 100 degrees. And then for tonight, mostly clear, low near 70. Wednesday, sunshine, a high around 101. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 73.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's our pleasure this morning to have retired veterinarian and former owner of Southern Veterinary Center, Dr. Leanne Duffy. And we've talked, pretty extensively about your early life.
Early years.
Do you want maybe fixate more on owning
move on through clinic, my life. Yeah.
Animal hospital.
Yeah. So I went to Smyrna, met Jerry, and there was also another doctor there, Dr. Jeff Justice. Do you remember him? So it's three of us, and worked very hard back in the day. But I just knew it was the right fit, and I just immediately knew this was what I should. I'm glad that's what I was doing for the rest of my life. Clients were awesome. Back in the early days, you did everything. I mean, I was learning surgery more, at that time. I was, had Jeff, Dr. Justice was more of a mentor in surgery for me than Dr. Onks was. But anyway, I just got a huge following, and, I think I was there. I worked every Saturday. I remember that. God. I had
in the restaurant industry.
Oh yeah, had Wednesdays off, and
Ooh.
I know. So
Shiver.
I still like my Wednesdays, but but it was great. I think after I'd been there maybe 3 or 4 years, we grew, and Jerry hired another. I think that's when Dr. Abernathy came, and then she and I just clicked. Like, we just really practiced the same. She had a lot of compassion and empathy, and as do I. And I think Jerry was getting, I could tell he was less at the office, and he confided into me that he would definitely want to sell a practice eventually, and that he didn't want to work till he was 67 or whatever. So anyway, he approached me, and I brought in Stephanie, and it's history then. We owned it together for 5 years. Then I solo owned it for the following 10 years, paying Jerry off. So Dr. Onks was awesome. He financed the building for us. We didn't have to go to a bank. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the issue too today, is it's just so expensive, and these younger vets just can't afford to get a loan. And if you weren't financing it for them, that's just no way for them to be able to afford it.
Debt from veterinary school?
A lot of debt.
Okay.
Well, luckily I didn't have any undergrad debt.
Sure.
Because, I had scholarships, but I was probably, a good 35 in the hole with vet school, which is less than out-of-staters. My best friend, Joy, I think she had like over 85,000. So then when you get out of school and you're making less than 30,000, it takes you a long time to pay off those loans.
Sure.
But I finally did, and it was like a big party after that. I was like, oh my God. I just had wonderful staff. We had at the top, the peak, I guess, we had 5 female veterinarians strong. I mean, and we saw everything, everything in Smyrna anyway. Dr. Key at the time was kind of slowing down. Do you remember Dr. Key?
Hazelwood.
Yeah. He was the first veterinarian. I think he was in Smyrna before Dr. Onks was.
I think so.
Yeah, at least 3 to 5 years more, I think. And then I think Premier came maybe when Dr. Abernathy and I were owners is when Premier Veterinary Hospital started. So Smyrna was growing, and we were getting more competition. Banfield came later. They're part of PetSmart. So I think, and now I think there's another one called Vets R Us, or I don't know, Pets R Us. So I think there's 5 veterinary hospitals. Well, no, Dr. Key left, so there's 4 veterinary hospitals in Smyrna now.
I know Linda Stewart McNeil, classmate, worked for you for
she did.
For a good long
she started
time.
in the kennel.
Yeah, sweet lady.
Sweet lady. And she knew everybody in Smyrna.
She did.
So,
Yes,
God, it was
still
great
does,
having
even
her
with-
at that front desk.
Yeah,
She just, was the greeter and knew everybody. She was an amazing.
Miss Sunshine.
Miss Sunshine. So we still get together. There's 5 of us that were from the beginning. Kathy Wilson, Mary Engelman, Linda, myself, Mia the groomer. She's still there. And then actually there's 6 of us. And Carla. We call ourselves the Legends of SVC, or SVC Legends. And we get together for breakfast or lunch every now and then. Linda just had some medical issues, so we didn't get to see her at our last lunch, but we're going to have another one soon.
I'll have to check in on her.
Yeah, she's doing much better.
Good.
Mike saw her, I think, recently. So, big supporters of our fish fry. Southern Vets always, I think, what do they call it when you've given the whole, when you've given sponsored from the get-go. I think Southern. Legacy.
Yeah,
legacy sponsor.
Yeah.
So Southern Vet's been a legacy sponsor of the fish fry since the inception.
I almost want to in the meeting say, hey, if you've been here for all of the 21 fish fries in the past, because this is our 22nd, I believe.
I think so.
Stand up. I wonder how many members have.
Well, we just had the little fryers, and we were under a tent.
Wow, that was a hoot.
Yeah, that was my first fish fry. Yeah.
Of course, we started over there where we were on with the little fryers and
on the tarmac out there. Yeah.
Plyboard, and then we moved over to corporate flight management, and then we came back and Assure allows us to use their hangar, thankfully.
So yeah, we'll put a plug in for that. That's coming up September 21st.
Yep. We have Carolyn Peoples coming on.
Oh, great. Well, we wore our fish fry shirts today.
I was going to mention that as well.
Yeah.
You both look sharp.
Mike's got his on too.
Well, and we're all, hopefully everybody will start wearing the shirts to the meeting leading up to the big event.
Yeah, we only got a month away, so we got a lot of.
Needs
more sponsors out there.
We got to have a few more.
Yeah,
we had a few that have gone out of business and different reasons, but
this is true.
Our sponsorships are down a little bit this year.
Well, still got a little time to.
Still got time.
Yeah.
But Jerry brought me into Rotary. Back in the day, you could only have one profession. Remember? Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
So
that was strict too.
And I was like, so he actually brought Stephanie and I both in at the same time in 2003. So yeah, I can't believe 21 years I've been in Rotary. But so Southern Vet, in 2018, before COVID, thankfully, I had been approached quite a bit from different corporations, but I had tried to groom an associate veterinarian for years. Everyone I hired, I was like, hey, don't you want to own your own practice one day? And just like Jerry did me, and, there'd be a little interest and, but really no, it's just not an interest in owning your own business.
Such a big financial commitment.
It is a huge commitment. And I know that because it took me 15 years to pay, Jerry off. But also just not the desire, like I said, maybe families, just the hardest part of running, being a veterinarian was running that practice, being the animal lover and being with the patients and the clients was never a problem for me. But, running a practice with 25 employees and payroll and
being boss not fun all the time.
And being the boss, it totally changed the dynamic when I was an associate, then I became the boss. But Southern Vet's the only practice I ever worked at out of vet school. Wow. I know, and that's very unusual.
You talked about the suicide rate. Is it basically the having to deal with
well, everybody thinks it's because of euthanasia and that you having to make these difficult decisions, end of life decisions with the client, and that does play a part. But I think the bigger part is when you've got this huge debt. These young, think about these younger, millennials, and have a huge debt coming out. They salaries have finally gotten up to where they should be, but they've been notoriously very low. You want to practice the very best medicine you've learned to do in school, and then you have a client that only has this much money. Okay, so instead of getting the gold standard, and that's what you offer, this is the best way to treat your pet. Well, I can't afford that doc, then you got to go to plan B or plan C, but then you're kind of ridiculed or harassed a little bit about, well, don't you love animals, doc? Why don't you do this for free?
Right.
So you're just constantly having these life and death issues, and you can fix this animal, you can make it better, but you can't because the client can't afford it. So I think that just weighs heavy, especially if you already have maybe anxiety or depression, which a lot of the younger generation does.
Well, so many people, on the outside, it's just an animal, no big deal. But I remember when I had to put my white German Shepherd down, and when we had to put Rusty, the Pomeranian, down.
You didn't feel like it was just an animal then, did you?
I think I'm a pretty tough guy, but apparently not, because, both of those just killed my soul.
Right, and it's, and a lot of people are delaying when they have children, so their pets are their four-legged kids, and They're part of the family more now than ever. I grew up with the dog outside, maybe got a rabies shot, once a year.
Yeah.
And then now, people are, whatever it takes, doc, save my cat.
A lot of people, the people having kids has gone down.
Yeah.
But the pet ownership has gone up.
That's true.
So I think pets now become more of
they're filling that hole.
Filling the gap there with that. And I that's what I was going to ask you, because here Wayne and I in insurance, did you see over your I know there was never insurance, and it seems like it's becoming more prevalent now, and we have, like Wayne said off air, we have an insurer that if your dog passes away in a car accident, they pay out some for that dog, even on your auto policy. So do you see insurance, did it start getting a hold before you left?
I definitely saw it increase from when I started, but it's still nowhere where it should be. I think the insurance plans still aren't that great for people, and they got a lot of loopholes and a lot of contingencies, and if they're not perfectly healthy puppy kitten, if you started off when they're young and they don't have any diseases already, they're okay. But once they have any kind of issue, they won't cover anything. So I've been out of it for a little bit, so I don't know. Somebody was just asking me the other day what I thought about it, and I said, well, I think most hospitals now have what they call wellness plans, which is not insurance, but it helps people afford, instead of paying a huge ticket item, say a major surgery, like a dentistry, which can be very costly in animals. You pay monthly, and it covers maybe all their vaccines and their heartworm and flea and tick and their spay neuter, or you could get a plan that covers dentistry when they get older. I think people can, they can handle that. They can budget for that. Hey, $50 a month, I'll get all this stuff. And I think those do better than these insurance plans, So not all veterinary hospitals have wellness plans, but Southern Vet does.
Most horse veterinarians now, they all offer that, but you've got to have, for them to cover certain surgeries or illnesses and things like that, you have to make sure that your horse is seen by them every year, and you're getting all the
preventative
routine
stuff,
shots and things that they want you to have done, and the blood work done yearly, and things that they'll cover more for things
which helps prevent a lot of future problems.
And they I mean, I notice now they're looking a whole lot more. They're seeing what you're feeding, what your hay likes, or you having your hay tested, and it's not like it used to be of an old nasty can and some corn and things like that they got now. And same thing with I think with dogs and cats in the veterinary small animal side. With the internet, there's all these internet remedies now that people are trying to do, and I think they a lot of times do more harm than they do good.
We call it Dr. Googling. Everybody Googles.
And more is usually not better, it's worse, because if they says give them this, then you give them that. Same thing, when you put it on the little pill bottle, it says take one by mouth twice a day, and people think, well, I'm gonna give them two, and then maybe it'll make it a little bit better, and it makes it a lot worse.
Right.
No, I can remember back, of course, I'm a lot older than you guys, but I can remember back us when I was a child having dogs or maybe cats, and the rabies shot was about it. And then, of course, going to college and trying to create a life, the span where you don't have a pet or didn't have a pet,
right.
Then you get a dog, and then all of a sudden there's this thing called heartworms and these other issues.
It's always there. We just weren't great at
I guess
educating.
I guess we just didn't know about it, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, I'm going to pay what?
Well, and then I think we got better at talking to people about budgeting for their pet, and because it is your dispensable income, but pet's a family member. It shouldn't be an afterthought. It's a luxury, not a necessity.
Sure.
So I think as veterinarians, is what we were trying to educate people. Hey, if you got this pet, you really should take care of it and do all these things. Rabies was a state law, always been a state law. That's why, but it's still very rare. In my career, I never saw a rabid dog or cat. We had some scares, and there's tons of rabid skunks in this county, and that's the #1 animal with rabies here. But and it's definitely important to do your rabies vaccination, but that's probably not as important as having your dog on heartworm preventative, because that's going to kill the dog versus odds are that they're going to get heartworms more than rabies.
What's the easiest way they get heartworms?
They only get it through mosquitoes.
Mosquito bites, that's what I wondered.
And then a dog that has heartworms can act as a reservoir. So it's not contagious to another dog, but if a mosquito bites that dog, it sucks and then it can bite another dog.
Okay.
You're listening to Dr. Leanne Duffy, she's a retired veterinarian for Southern Vet Center in Smyrna, but we're going to take our second break and be right back with you in just a second.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE has provided light, comfort, and connection to our community since 1936. As your trusted energy advisor, MTE is always here to help. Connect online or download the My MTE app.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne, and it's again our pleasure to have fellow Rotarian, retired, maybe or semi-retired veterinarian, Dr. Leanne Duffy, who I guess, when did you actually sell Smyrna Veterinary
Yeah, I never Center?
finished
that story, did I? So I sold in 2018, but I stayed on and worked 3 more years because I didn't. I really care and cared about my clients, and I didn't want to just like see ya. So I stayed on, and I gradually kind of told people I was going to be retiring so they would get used to the idea, because your veterinarian is, I mean, to a lot of people friends, I'd known their kids when they were little, and now they were bringing dogs to me as an adult, being in the field for so long and being at the same practice for so long.
Sure.
So it was tough. I mean, I had a lot of tears. People were really, really upset I was leaving, especially because I retired 53 years old, from Southern Vet. But anyway, so I luckily didn't own it through COVID. That was like a godsend. The company that I sold to, they had to deal with all the COVID stuff, and I was just a worker bee. I came in and did my job and left. I didn't have any more responsibilities. I still owned the building for a little bit longer. But anyway, so in 2021, I had a retirement party and said, see ya. And then, it was a blessing because my mom got sick. Didn't know, she was healthy when I retired, but like within 6 months of retirement, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
Y'all may remember, I was gone quite a bit that year.
Yep.
And I was her medical advocate and her person, so I lived with her. She lived only 6 months, and then my dad was sick and he died. So Mom died in January of 2023, and my dad died in September of 2023.
I remember your mom passing,
Yeah, my dad
but I don't know that I remember your dad passing.
My dad was married, so not to my mom, obviously.
Sure.
So he had a wife that could help take care of him more, but he was sick a lot longer. He was it was really a blessing for my dad. He was in a bed, couldn't really move, and it was sad. But my dad was, both my parents instilled in me my independence. My dad, the knowledge of science. My mom worked 3 jobs. She was my sister and I, like we knew we never wanted to work as hard as my mom had to work as a single mom.
Sure.
So that's why we went the route we did. But anyway, it was a hard year, but I'm so blessed that I was able to be with both my parents, that year. And I wouldn't have been able to if I was still running Southern Vet. So I took off. Mike and I have traveled quite a bit. We're still very active in Rotary. A lot of retirees I know leave, and I knew I needed something to do, and I've always loved Rotary, and so we've thrown our hearts and souls into traveling to Honduras every year to build homes there. We go every January, February, so that's been just amazing. We've had a lot of different group of Rotarians that go every year, and it's just I tell people once a year I need my love bucket filled, and that's going to Honduras does that for me. Now it's not a place to go if seeing the animals there is very sad, and I know the first year or two I went, I wanted to save all these dogs and cats, and then I'd see the kids, and they're worse shape than the dogs and cats, so I had to compartmentalize that, and that's why I think I was a good veterinarian. I was able to leave a lot of the sadness behind when I went home, and that's another reason a lot of veterinarians can't do that. They take it all home with them, and they
kind of like a police officer.
Yes, right? Which is high in suicide rates too. I saw police officers, medical, dentists, and veterinarians are top 4.
Well, most officers die within 5 years of retirement, so it's unfortunate.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how many homes have you and Mike and your group built over the years? Any idea?
Not as many as you think, because we only go a week.
Sure.
So we can only do 2 or 3, but I would say 12, maybe 15.
That's impressive with
15,
a small
maybe.
Group that
yeah,
that
we
you
usually
take.
have less than 10 people.
Yeah.
One year we only had 5. All women but Mike. Mike's
But I think
surrounded with
I think that's another thing I remember hearing is Mike kind of helped out on that, and Habitat for Humanity, way we build those panel builds,
yes, you're
helped
right.
as far as the process of building those houses down there.
Yeah, he came up with all the plans and wanted to make it as streamlined as possible and easy for us that aren't construction people. If I can slam a hammer, though, man, I'm really good at that.
Was there a different? Didn't you do something different before you actually started building houses?
Yes, in the early years, we electrified houses. So
Okay, that's it. Okay.
We would, and that's when we decided. And we talked to another group of Rotarians, but when you're trying to put up a light or an outlet in a piece of wood that's rotting, like the house, or it's cardboard, or
right.
We were like, God, these people, electricity is very important, and we want them to have that too, but they need homes.
Shelter,
and then that can come later. So that's when we we branched off and started doing more of the builds. But we do other things while we're there. We take tons of clothes, and I take a lot of medicines, antibiotics and anti-inflammatories and vitamins for the prenatal vitamins and multivitamins for the kids. And we just give all that away. We have a contact down there, Carolina, who's been our liaison for a long, long time, that helps. She finds the people that need the homes, and then she's kind of like Dr. Quinn, medicine lady. There's not really a doctor in this village. She's surrounded. Well, there's several villages, but she does a lot of all these medicines. She can put in an IV in these people, and then she has a little back room that's kind of a little hospital unit that people come to her, and they're sick with the flu, and she'll get them better. I mean, it's amazing. We always joke. She goes, "Oh, I'm going to go in town and get some nails for you," or whatever. And like 2 hours later, she goes, "Well, I had to deliver this baby on the side of the road, and I had to there was a man at my door that has, GI issues." And I'm like, this is how it is down there.
Well, the just getting from one place to the other with the roads are kind of difficult.
Yeah, we got really worn out this last year because we had to go up on this mountain, and it was an hour and a half, 45 minutes, an hour and a half up and down. And it, thank God for John Black and Mike Bolden here that can drive a stick shift and double clutch and do all that up this mountain, because there's no way we would have been able to get up there. But it wore us out because it took a lot of time, and you're constantly jostled the whole time you're in that car.
Yeah, I'm not real good on mountain roads.
We decided that
I don't think I didn't enjoy
the
that
future,
at all.
we're not doing this mountain anymore.
It is funny to watch John Black's eyes light up about the
he
drive.
loved it.
He absolutely
he loved
it.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I guess for a guy, it's
Well, I
very
think
stimulating.
that's probably the pilot part of
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah.
So
See, I almost think like that here now, because it seems like with our schools there's been such an influx of people from other parts of the world that are now here in our school system, that you almost need not the shelter point but the prenatal point of these kids that are here now that don't have any of that, and the parents aren't educated in it.
Right.
And with the Atlas program that we've had on here now, and I think we're up they're approaching 2,000, if not over it by now, homeless kids that are in our school system here, 55,000 kids.
Yeah.
So, it just makes you wonder what programs here that we're going to have to adopt that you guys are using down there here.
And they just, education is the key. And unfortunately, Honduras is a third world country, and women and children, get the worst of it, in my opinion. There's still a very muchacho kind of system there, and
society.
Women, birth control, well, they're predominantly Catholic, so they don't really believe in birth control. But in fact, funny is that one of the reasons to electrify these houses, though, is to give them something else to do besides, that, to read and other things. So that was it does lower the birth rate when you put electricity in the homes, believe it or not. But
what first started where y'all decided to do Honduras? Was it a pamphlet you read or something on TV? How did that happen?
There's another club, and it was before us. Actually, Mike Woods and Jerry Onks, and anyway, there was another Franklin Rotary Club. Was going around trying to recruit clubs, and I think they came to Smyrna. And so Mike Woods, when they went, they did electrification, but also the water. They're doing building wells,
digging wells.
And then there was a long pause where nothing happened. And then I met Carolina at a district when I was president in 2014. But even before that, I think I'd gone to a district conference, and Carolina came to talk about Honduras, and that she was working with these clubs, Columbia, Spring Hill, and the Franklin, and she just won me over. And then I met her, and she's just a wonderful human being. I mean, she does everything for other people, just got a heart of gold. So she loves her country, loves her people, and wants to take care of them. So she's smart. I mean, she was like, I'm going to America.
Sounds like it.
Yep.
When they had a hurricane hit their coast a few years ago too, that that devastation was pretty.
Yeah, and way back was what Hurricane Mitch, I think, really did a number on Honduras. That was a long time ago. But where we go is in the mountains, so they didn't get hit as bad, and it's more inland. It's right on the border of Honduras and Nicaragua. It's cooler because it's in the mountains, so it's not so hot. Where like the town, a lot of Rotarians went to is called Choluteca, and it's kind of in the valley, and it's really hot. I mean, it's really hot, just stifling. But yeah, they have a lot of flooding off that mountain, and they don't have the roads are terrible. It's just amazing, these people, the resilience of them, because they just are, in the rainy season, they stay wet all the time. Yeah. I mean, and if you don't build them shelter, they're always wet. It's always muddy. They can't go anywhere because the roads are covered over with mud.
Tegucigalpa, is it in the mountains as well?
It's north. We're way south. We used to fly into Tegucigalpa, but now there's a new airport called Palmarola, and it's safer, but it's still a good 2.5-3 hours from where we go.
Oh, wow.
So we drive on the Pan Am Highway all the way through the mountains and over the mountain. But no, I don't think it's more. I mean, it's all mountainous in Honduras. When we're flying in, there's mountains everywhere, but it's a pretty dangerous city. We don't want to stay in the city at all. So is
Tegucigalpa Airport kind of a white knuckle landing?
Yeah, have you heard about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've overheard conversation of
It's
y'all
more
talk.
when you take off, because there's a mountain right in front of you in the runway. You're going to hit this mountain if you don't go up. So it's like, phew, I mean,
oh wow.
Mike scared me to death the first year I went. He's like, now it's a little shaky on it, because I hate to fly anyway. And he's like,
Amen. I'm with you on that.
I mean, I do it because I want to see things and go places, but I don't like it. But, yeah.
Talk a little bit about the land. So how, I don't know who ended up, but when you first started building the houses, it become a question if they even own the land.
Right.
But you've kind of got all that worked out.
Part of our, stipulation is that they own their land, because so many people there squat on land, and you think it's theirs, but no, it's the land, this big guy that owns a ranch that lets them live there, but then they work for him for free, so it's really an indentured servant kind of thing. So yeah, Carolina, we told her, if we're going to build these houses, especially up in the mountain, there was like 10 parcels of land, and we wanted, them to all have the deed. Well, Carolina owns the deed because they couldn't really even afford $100-something for the deed. So we've raised money to help pay for some of those deeds so they can have, that they own the land. But the landlord did donate that land. He said they can have this land, but we still want it to be legal,
Sure.
So she does all that. She's got a lawyer that writes up, gives her a pretty good deal.
Has she got an assistant or somebody she's bringing up through the ranks? Because
I know,
obviously she
right?
does so much.
I know, and does it really in no anticipation of being paid for it. Now we always we all come up with money to pay her, to help her, and then we buy her a lot of meals while we're down there. But that's only 1 week out of the year. But I don't foresee. Now, her daughter, she's just sent her daughter to Alabama. Dr. Amy Dobbs runs an organization called Hugs for Honduras, which y'all might have heard of because we've done some with them too. And they started this nonprofit to be able to send these kids that couldn't get to the schools. It sends these kids to school. And they buy backpacks and their uniforms and all this. But she's got Carolina's daughter right now going to a Christian school for high school, because that's really their only way out is to learn English, and and her kids know English great, and Carolina was the same, and to get educated, because she's a single mom raising 2 kids.
God bless y'all's effort.
Well, I will say some bad news is that we did not get our grant application in this year. It was a total flubub, an accident. So we don't have a district grant this year. And then I have several Rotarians that said they wouldn't be able to go that have gone in the past. So Mike and I are considering taking a year off to regroup and try to get funding for next year.
Sure.
But we're still in the works. I mean, we still got some avenues to maybe get funding, but it costs about $5,000 to $6,000 to build a house there, which is nothing for us, but it's still a lot of money. And
Yep.
if you want to build 3, you know.
Sure.
Exactly.
Again, thank you for being with us
Thank
today.
you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Us too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I hope everybody enjoyed our show today, and we'll be back with you. We're on kind of a 9/11 thing with us every year. Around this time, we try to remember that, and we're putting this show together for next week for you. But hope y'all enjoyed Dr. Duffy with us today, and everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next week.